A couple of days ago, I made a video about the Peru alien attacks that happened in the middle of 2023, and I kind of gave a bit of a deep dive into what actually happened, what the media and what the governments were saying actually went on, and kind of packaged it all together. So if you want to check that out, check out the video from a couple of days ago to get yourselves up to speed. Now, after posting that, I was pretty dead set on the idea that, you know, the police reports were correct. This was gold miners, illegal gold miners who were trying to stave the locals away from the land with the gold so that they could kind of keep it to themselves. All that kind of shady stuff. When I posted the video, a lot of people posed very important questions, ones that I probably should have had during the video, but also ones where it was just like, that's actually a very good point. One of them being, how did illegal gold miners get millions of pounds worth of, or millions of dollars worth of jetpack gear, with the boots, with the jetpacks, you know, with the backpacks and all the rest of it? First of all, that's like prototype stuff right now. Secondly, how did they get their hands on it? And thirdly, where did they get the money to fund that kind of stuff? And a lot of people kind of pointed to the theory that that was just a cover-up, just to kind of, you know, blanket over the situation and everyone be put to bed. You know, it's like, don't be so ridiculous about aliens when it's clearly just, you know, gold miners with millions of dollars worth of equipment. And, you know, I hold my hands up. I fell straight into that trap from the looks of it. And a lot of people were like, you've literally just lapped that up. But a lot of people did point me in the direction of an incredible video from Timothy Alberino. Oh, sorry, I completely butchered that. I'm sorry if I sound a bit bunged up. I've got a stinky cold going on. But yeah, Timothy Alberino made an absolutely incredible video where he wasn't taking it. He wasn't accepting the whole gold miner situation, and he went on an expedition to go to the Peruvian village in the Amazon rainforest to check it out and interview the locals for themselves. Now, when I say expedition, I do not use that term lightly. This man literally went with food. He packed up. He went there to spend time there, not just fly over, ask a couple of questions and then fly back. No, this man literally lived among the people. He was one of the people for a while. You know, he really was committed to this. Now, we're going to check out Timothy's video. I'm sure you don't want to listen to my nasally voice anymore, but it really provides some eye-opening perspectives from inside the camp. So here's what Timothy has to say on the matter.
My name is Timothy Alberino, and this is the after-action report and analysis of my expedition into the Amazon jungle of Peru, where I investigated the alleged alien attacks and face peeler phenomenon of recent internet fame.
Now, the face peeler stuff I was not aware of until this video, but that's a whole nother alarming story in itself.
Let's begin with a brief review. Some months ago, near the end of July, compelling videos began to surface on social media featuring an alleged alien attack in a remote jungle village called San Antonio de Pintuyacu, which is inhabited by the indigenous Iquitu people and located deep in the Alto Nanay region of the Peruvian Amazon, northwest of Iquitos. The video depicted an alarming scene in which the men of the village were in a state of panic, discharging their firearms into the jungle in the dark of night. Subsequent interviews with the Apu, or chief of the village, revealed that mysterious assailants were making incursions into the village and had attempted to abduct a 15-year-old girl. The girl, whose name is Talia, was able to scream during the altercation with her assailants and was fortunately rescued by her brother and her neighbors, who came running to investigate the commotion.
Now, there's a really good kind of breakdown for anyone that's completely missed this. It flew under your radar, whatever. That kind of gets you up to speed on what kind of things have been going down in this village.
Talia sustained a laceration in her neck and was in a state of chemically induced disorientation for some time after the incident. According to the Apu, whose name is Jairo Reategi, The assailants were arrayed in peculiar body armor with elongated helmets, reminiscent of the Green Goblin from the Spider-Man movie, and were able to float through the jungle and lift off into the air. They seemed to be impervious to gunfire as they were shot at point-blank range to no effect.
Now that's another thing that was highlighted in my comments, is if these were human beings, these people, or these intruders, we'll label them, were shot at point-blank range and were completely unaffected, as far as we could tell from the video, but this is kind of a confirmation of that.
And could seemingly disappear into the night. In the video, the Apu made the extraordinary claim that the assailants were not human beings, but extraterrestrials, evidenced by their incredible technological capabilities, which seemed to defy a conventional explanation. The assailants were also described as pelacaras, which translates into English to face peelers. The legend of the pelacaras is well known in the Peruvian Amazon. I myself had heard of it some 20 years ago when I lived among the native people in a region of the jungle not far from Alto Nanay. According to the legend, strange beings would, from time to time, appear in the remote villages to waylay and abduct individuals who happened to be found alone at night. The corpses of these unfortunate victims would later be discovered with their faces partially or completely removed, exposing the bleached skeletal bone beneath.
Now that's pretty terrifying. I did not know about this until this video, or this part of the story. All I knew about were these extraterrestrial beings that kind of came floating.
Many Peruvians associate the pelacaras with gringos. There is no consensus among the indigenous communities in regard to their origin or identity. Some believe that they represent an international group of organ harvesters funded, perhaps, by cartels, while others maintain that they are non-human beings and even extraterrestrials.
Now that's an incredible breakdown of the entire situation so far. Now, I don't want to steal this whole guy's video. I mean, it's an hour and 46 minutes. It goes very, very in depth. I've watched the entire thing. It is, if you've got the time, even if you watch it on double speed, please watch it, because this guy's work deserves some form of credit. But if we fast forward to 11 minutes in, that's when the whole situation becomes, like, we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of the interviews and stuff, so we're going to check that out now.
Visiting the locations where the mysterious assailants had been encountered and conducting interviews with eyewitnesses. The anxiety in the village was palpable. The villagers had cut down a wide swath of jungle surrounding their community in order to extend their line of sight and create a buffer zone between themselves and the jungle. By cutting down the trees, they could remove the cover that the assailants were using to covertly approach the village in the dark of night.
Now, you've got to think, that's quite an extreme response to have, to literally scalp the landscape so that there are no hiding spots on the creep up to the camp. You know, you can see them come in. It's incredibly ingenious, but also, you know, it's it's an extreme response to need to have.
And create more real estate to plant crops closer to their homes, as they were no longer venturing out to their plantations. I was surprised by how many of the villagers had actually encountered the so-called pelacaras face to face, and how consistent their descriptions of the beings were. For the sake of brevity, I will summarize the details of what I was told. The assailants are tall. Most estimates describe them as being considerably taller than me, standing somewhere between 6.5 to 7 feet, perhaps even up to 8.
That's kind of, I mean, I'm now going to delve into the realm of conspiracy, but where else have we heard about 8-foot beings? Miami Mall, Las Vegas, and now in Peru. And also in Brazil, if you believe those clips and that evidence. You know, it's a small detail, but it could be the one thing. It's the one thing that's consistent across all of these encounters. Something to bear in mind. Fruit for
They
thought.
are
Food for thought.
arrayed in black armored bodysuits and wear large, elongated helmets that cover the entirety of their faces with yellow-tinted, almond-shaped eye lenses. They are equipped with small backpacks, hard shell rather than fabric, and their footwear is very peculiar, with 2 discs on the soles of each shoe. When they leave tracks in the forest floor, they look like 2 circles rather than the typical shoe or boot imprint. They do not carry any visible weapons in their hands, and they are exceedingly agile when they walk and run, even capable of jumping over houses in a single bound.
Now, that would, I mean, the whole technology thing, we've seen them flying in the sky, like from the footage, so that's not a surprise that they are able to kind of leap the heights of houses. I mean, it's still an extraordinary feat, but obviously there's some technological advances that are supporting that.
This is likely due to the fact that the discs on the soles of their shoes, which emit a red light, are outfitted with some kind of propulsion technology that enables them to hover a meter off the ground and lunge into the air. In almost every interview I conducted, the assailants are described as surfing on top of circular platforms that are about 3 feet in diameter and that can hover in place or accelerate at high rates of speed. These platforms are encompassed with lights of varying colors and are completely silent as they move through the village.
Now, this is another thing that was highlighted to me, was whenever we've seen any evidence or footage of these new jetpacks that are kind of come into light from, you know, human technological advances, is they're incredibly noisy. They make an awful amount of noise. But in the video, the original clip, there was no noise to be heard, and then in the witness testimonies here, dead silent. I mean, we don't have, as far as I'm aware, jetpacks or, you know, some kind of propulsion unit that is silent, as far as I'm aware.
Except when they accelerate off the ground, at which point a sound something like compressed air can be heard. The assailants sometimes land the platforms in the jungle, dismount from them, and walk or float into the village. When they are chased out of the village, they remount the platforms and lift off into the air. Some of the circular platforms are extra large with a diameter of about 10 feet and carry 2 people rather than 1. It is interesting to note that the assailants always come in pairs. There are always 2 or groups of 2.
Another thing that is incredibly notable to the other accounts that have been going on with Miami Mall, Las Vegas and Brazil is we've always seen them in pairs. They've never been identified as a singular kind of being. There's always been at least 2, sometimes 3 in the case of Miami Mall. We've seen 2 in Brazil, and where there was reports of 2 in the back garden of the Las Vegas incident. More food for thought. Aside
from the flying circular platforms, the assailants are also equipped with advanced aerospace vehicles, what we might call UFOs. These craft have been seen by multiple people in the village and are described exactly the same by everyone. The fuselage of the craft is shaped somewhat like an acorn, with the narrow part being the nose and the wider part the aft. They're about the length of a private jet, but much wider, and in the place of wings, they have small, rounded protrusions which fold open and deploy a series of rapidly blinking lights. The craft have been viewed hovering above the village at very low altitude, some 30 to 40 feet, and have no apparent propulsion systems such as engines or propellers. In one case, the craft appeared to be completely transparent, and 2 pilots could be seen sitting inside. Like the circular platforms, the craft are completely silent, except when they accelerate, at which point they make a low-frequency humming sound. The platforms and the craft have been seen on many occasions by many people hovering above or flying over the village.
Again, what is striking is how similar everyone's account of these sightings are. It's always, well, from the accounts that we've seen, it's this teardrop shape with almost like, well, exactly how it was described.
Even according to one account, the very night before we arrived. We spent a total of 2 nights and 3 days in San Antonio de Pintuyacu, and on the final night we met with the men of the village to teach them how to use the high-powered flashlights, radios, and night vision goggles we gave them. Doug, along with Henry, one of our Navy commandos, took the opportunity to train the men in how to properly carry their firearms and patrol in a column so that they don't accidentally shoot each other. It was quite exhilarating watching these guys learn how to organize themselves into a more efficient fighting force, and then to go out and deploy the new tactics and technology on their patrols. If the face peeler assailants appear in the village again, the men of San Antonio are now much better prepared to defend themselves and their families and to capture the phenomenon on camera.
That is absolutely, unbelievably incredible. Like, not only did this man go there to try and, you know, investigate the situation, they provided supplies, they provided advice, wisdom. Honestly, absolutely outstanding work from Tim in this whole video. So there has to be so much credit over to this guy. Please go and subscribe to him if you have not already. He truly deserves the support. The work that he does, outstanding. But again, I'll hand it over to you guys. Obviously there's some more information there, kind of a lot more eye-opening. I wish I'd seen this the first time around, but thank you so much to the comments for raising this to my attention, and thank you to the people that sent me this video, because honestly I watched it and I was in utter awe of this man, and also my jaw hit the floor because the information that we were provided was completely outstanding, and just it completely blew the lid off of everything that I thought this was a done and dusted job. But now I'm starting to see a lot more links to a lot of the other situations that have gone on around the world. So with all that said, I hand it over to you guys. What do you make of this? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to jump scare the hell out of that like button. Subscribe if you're new, and tickle my little bell so you get notified whenever we upload. And until next time, guys, I hope that you have enjoyed. Cannot wait to see you in the next video, and I'll speak to you later. Peace.